Hey everyone, welcome to this quick overview and demo of our product here called Vapor. So let's get started. So as you can see, here is our logo and the home screen here. So this basically lets you sign into our application provided you have the authorized credentials depending on what access and permissions that you have purchased as part of the subscription setup. So I'm gonna click login here. If it's a new user, you can definitely do a sign up, and then our team here internally will get a notification. We can touch base with the interested folks to see what we can do in terms of offering them our service. For now, I'm just gonna click login. So I am a user who is authorized to use this application, and this is a pure cloud-based environment which lets you just use the internet connection and the browser without having to install applications or databases and such on. So I'm just logging into my application here. So this takes me to a screen here where I have a set of menu here depending on what I would like to perform on a day-to-day basis, right? So for example, this is basically giving you the list of all customers that you have within the system. You can drill down to each of these customers to see what actions you need to perform. For example, if you want to view this particular customer, Dr. Wiz John Neck, you could see the details of this particular customer, and you can either edit and basically change anything that you would want to change with this customer. So a quick overview includes all of the features, for example, customers, vendors. These are the set of transactions that we have associated with each of the customers and vendors. So for example, whenever you have an invoice coming in for a customer, or you want to raise an invoice for a customer, you can click invoice, which takes you to a screen where you can either create an invoice, see what invoices have already been recorded, and take necessary actions against those invoices. For now, I'm just going to create a new invoice. So one thing to add to this, since it's a cloud-based product, everything is form driven. There is nothing that you need to run in parallel to generate an invoice. For example, if you're on the screen, you can always work on this screen without having to lose the data and so on. So for example, I'm picking the customer. This is basically the list of customers that we currently have within the instance. So in your case, you'll have a bunch of different customers to pick from. So for example, I'm picking Edwin Foster. The invoice number is something that's always auto-generated within the application, so you will not be able to override this, but we also have a transaction ID which you can fill for your unique invoicing depending on how you would want to invoice your customers. For example, I can fill my company's sequence, which would be Apple Inc. 345 for instance. It's an alphanumeric field, and you could pretty much fill anything that you want here. So this is an invoice date. I'm gonna say 10th of December. I have a due date there. For example, I can say 1 month from now, which would be 10th of January. The currencies is definitely be US dollar. The address of the customer, I can say for now Cupertino, California, United States. All right, so, and terms, I can say it's a 30-day terms. I can say the shipping address should be same as my billing address. I would like to keep all these things. I would like to fill everything basically just to make sure that all of this information is carried over to the customer invoice whenever the customer receives an email of this particular invoice. So tracking ID. So this is basically the service or the product that you're selling your customer for. For example, these are all the predefined items as we call in our product. And then you can always click create items before you actually create an invoice. Suppose, for example, I need an item that I don't see here. I can always go and create an item first before I create an invoice here. So I'm going to say web design service income. I'm going to say 20 quantities, rate $150. So the amount auto populates depending on the quantity and the rate. I'm going to say this is for website design. Okay, I have no discount, I have no tax, I have no shipping charge. That's my invoice. So I'm going to say save. So invoice is created successfully. I could have always done save and print or save an email, which will ensure the customer gets a copy of the invoice as well. So for example, I want to see the customer invoice that I just created. I'm going to do a sort by date. So this is the most recent customer invoice that I just created, right? So there are a few actions that I would want to refer here. One being edit. You can edit the invoice, make changes. You can view an invoice. You can send the invoice to the customer as a PDF, so that it's all automated through the application, and there is no manually downloading of invoices and then mailing it to the customer. So it's a preference that a user would want to use. It's right there for us to be used. The third thing that I would want to specify to complete the short demo would be, how do I receive a payment from a customer? So I can see a customer payment option here, and then I'm going to create new, and I'm going to select the customer that I just created the invoice for. I'm going to select my cash account, which would be cash on hand. So it's a pure accounting entry that's happening behind the scene for a balance sheet side of an impact. So I'm going to say notes payment received. So any outstanding invoices that are due for this customer will be listed here for us to be able to pick. I'm going to pick this invoice that I just recently created for 3,000, and I'm going to click submit. All right. So going back to the invoice just to see if the invoice is paid. So due date, it's paid. So I just recorded a payment for this invoice, and it says it's paid. So that's a quick demo or an overview in terms of how do you record a customer payment versus an invoice. Similarly, you could do it for vendor payments, raise expenses against the vendor, create an estimate that goes out to a customer, and so on. So this application is purely driven by permissions. So a user could have, let's say, out of the 3 or 4 things that they would do, they need not necessarily have everything that's listed here. Just a quick flavor of, I wanted to give a quick flavor of the application. So I'm logging through an administrator kind of a role, which gives you all these settings and preferences. So that's it from my end. And then, yes, excited to launch this product, and then hopefully we'll be able to help as many individuals, companies to get this up and running. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.